This is the Zac Anesbury Show.
Welcome. On today's podcast clip, we have Professor Colin Campbell from the University of San Diego, California, United States. I mentioned earlier that some of the audience are sort of younger undergrads. And so they're thinking to themselves, okay, I'm going to graduate maybe next year or in a couple of years. How can I put myself in the best possible position to landing that initial role? So any insights you have for them for industry, I guess, would be very much appreciated.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest one is it's the same thing I've been telling students actually, a while now, is actually like engage with people. I think that like nowadays it's so easy to like look up people online and find them that I think that it's a shame not to. And I think so few people do that, right? So I encourage like both people looking, for jobs like in industry, even researchers too, right? I mean, like if you find somebody that's researching in an area you like, you can email them like, hey, like I'm working on a similar thing. Can I run an idea by you? Can I have a Zoom? Like, it happens so rarely that it's kind of cool if it does, right? And I think the same thing for like getting a job for like undergrads, right? Is like, you can go on LinkedIn, you can say filter for people who are, UniSA grads. And then you can look at Pepsi or look at Coke or whatever it is you want to work for. And you can filter for people who had the same school as you or the same city or whatever you want to do. And it will show you who those employees are, right? And then you can look them up there and you can send them a message and be like, hey, you're working in an area similar to me. We went to the same school. Like, I'd love to have a Zoom or have a coffee or whatever and like learn more about your job or learn more about how you got where you are. Like, it's so flattering and so cool and so unique. And I think like people just naturally kind of want to respond to that, right? And I think so few people do it that it's something that we need to do more of, right?
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's amazing actually, because you do have all of this information that people are putting out online about themselves that you can use. And I'd never even thought about using the filtering functions on LinkedIn.
Yeah. We had somebody like in a career advisor show me that. She was telling the students it, like I advised like the marketing student group here for a while. And like I saw that, I was like, wow, I didn't know either, but it's just so cool. Right. Yeah. And I think it's not in the sense of like, oh, hire me now. But the best thing to do is to do it early, do it when you're not looking for a job, right? But it's expanding your network, right? If you can follow them, and then, if you then do like see a job there in 6 months, you could then message them and be like, hey, do you think this is a good fit for me or not? And a lot of companies also have it like where they'll actually like give an incentive to the employee if they recommend them.
Oh, right.
Like a person who gets hired, right? So like they will win if they recommend you and get money or something else, right? You also win because you get an internal recommendation, which is good too. Maybe it's even coming if they do an event or they do a speaker or something, whatever, right? Or even just following the company LinkedIn and sort of being aware of what they're doing. But like a lot of those like kind of softer stuff like is kind of cool. And I think people kind of underdo that nowadays, which makes it ironically even more important, which is kind of cool,
Yeah, I think it sounds like a great way to sort of stand out as well. Because, if they have, say, I don't know, I'm just making up a number, 20 applicants for the one position, and they see your name in one of them, and they're like, oh, I've seen, Colin at this event for the last 2 years, and he seems very intelligent, very reliable. You're way more likely to get an interview than a cold CV.
Totally. Or I mean, it's even like stuff like I've had students do it and then they get invited to do like a job shadow for a day or something, which is also amazing because then you get to go and like meet other people in the agency or in the company, right? So you're also known, right? Maybe that turns into something else. Maybe it doesn't. At the very least, you learn more about how they work and what their role is, right? Because I think a lot of like jobs in marketing, people don't really understand what exactly happens because it's not always that clear, right? So I think like on a day-to-day basis, people don't really know what does a marketing analyst do? What does a marketing researcher do? Like, all these kind of things. So seeing it like going through their day is actually kind of helpful to kind of get a sense of maybe you don't like it. Maybe you want to do something else, which is fine too. Or maybe you do love it, right? But
yeah, actually, that's probably like, an additional benefit because you might think, I definitely want to work in this industry or this is definitely the role I want to do. And then you see what the day-to-day life is. You're like, no, not for me. So it kind of saves you.
Yeah, no. It's totally true. Like there's one student I had in my social media marketing class, which is that hands-on one I was telling you about. And like at the end of it, he came up and he's like, Colin, thank you so much. Like I really appreciate this class because I learned that I don't like marketing. And like, and I was like, no, I'm so happy you found that out now than in 5 years, whatever, even 2 years, right? So the stakes are low. So now's the time to change your major and you can figure out what you like. That's great, So
I think that's hilarious because it's like, how do I not take that personally without thinking that I have done you a favor? Like,
No, I mean, he was actually genuinely grateful. It was just like, I thought I wanted to do marketing and this course, because we actually did stuff. He's like, I just don't like it. I'm like, totally cool. Like, I'm happy you figured that out, you know? So,
Oh, I still find that absolutely hilarious. Perfect. So I've learned so much from you today, so I very much appreciate it. One thing that I like to leave on with everyone is a general sort of statement. Like, is there any, like, do you have a favorite quote or some life advice that you've heard, or something you'd like to impart on the audience? Is there anything some advice, I guess?
yeah, I think probably the biggest one is, I don't know who I learned this from. I was just like thinking about like what, you think about in terms of expectations. Is expected value positive or negative? Right. And so I think a lot of people, like, I read this book once on like luck, right? And it's not, some people consider lucky. It's not so much people are actually like lucky, is that they try more stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So luckier people they'll sign up for, obviously, for giveaways and that kind of stuff. But more importantly, like, they actually just engage more. So like if you're in an elevator, you'll talk to somebody. If you're on a plane, you'll talk to somebody. If you see something, you'll try applying, you'll try doing something, right? And it's like, not everything works, right? But if you increase the number of times that you try doing something, like just sheer numbers, you're going to have more stuff happen to you, right? I think that's sort of what we're talking about with the getting a job. If you know more people in the marketing area in your city, chances are you're going to probably get a job faster than someone who doesn't, right? I think it's the same thing of just like, trying for stuff, submit the paper, try going to the conference. Like, some might not work, right? You may not get good feedback or may not work out, right? But the more stuff you do, the more chances you have to succeed. I think that's sort of the big thing. Yeah. So just, is the expected value positive? Is there a chance it could work out well? Then, why not give it a whirl, right?
Yeah. What I love about that is it's so positively framed. It's I love it. That's really good advice. Awesome.
It's hard sometimes, though. I mean, there's some days that it's like, don't want to talk to people in the elevator or whatever, right? But it's also like, you can make good connections that way. I'm sure you've done that, right? It's yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Colin. Very much appreciate it. I've learned a lot from you in terms of your paper and your research career and everything you've done at the journal. Thank you so much for spending your evening with me.
Yeah. It was an absolute pleasure, and you've been a complete delight to talk to you. So thank you so much for preparing and for having me on as well. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Zac Anesbury here with just a couple of quick reminders. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, then make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. There are plenty more interviews to come with some of the world's leading marketing academics and practitioners. You do not want to miss these. In the meantime, if you're looking for another way to connect, then follow me on Twitter at Zac Anesbury. That is ZACANESBURY. For my take on the marketing issues of the day.
That was the Zac Anesbury Show.